sapling, the old oak tree, the crucifix, I tell you it was. The crucifix in the old oak tree near the pier. In the park. It was worthing. I would have recognized them anywhere. They looked as the sapling I saw was twisted and bent in the middle, and it looked as if a mirror, a strange mirror I looked into. A cone, the mirrors of my pupils that worked then, when I could see the different dimension. Indentation was twisted as a cleavage in the tree, where the heavy-handed roots met and the green leaves sprinkled in twigs upon the surface where the trunk of the twin roots crossed. It was before the whole convoluted, twisted, crossed over voice box, which my imagination tells me has caused my whole brain to be twisted, left and right, interlocked, and has affected my voice. I cannot speak clearly anymore. The diction, the sounds outside the window, everyday life. I cannot concentrate. It is as if I have strangled my spirit. But then I saw her. The two twin roots crossed and the branches unfurled as if shoulders, quite threatening, as they stood under it. The darkness swirled in the dusk, and I saw her again. She answered to a question, a hail. And I put to her, projected to her, in a silent indication. I saw her, her smile, just as it had always been, when she had lain before me and smiled and said, "Do it again." She looked unknown to fear this time. I could not believe or understand it. What was she trying to tell me? What was she trying to say to me? Why did she return? Because I tell you no lie, my Lord. She was there. She was solid. She was not an image. She was no apparition. my dear Louise. She came back to me to tell me something, to help me. And suddenly I found I said to her, as if a voice untangled my voice box, and catalytically said spontaneously to her, Louise, I knew you would come. April the 16th, running up to Easter, crucifying and resurrecting. Her eyes gazed at me. That's what she had told me so long ago. All those years ago. Her eyes had laughed and she had said to me in Cornwall, as we lay in bed, and I had no idea what she meant. There is a terrific conundrum and an interplay of genetics, I fear, she said, half-heartedly, joking. I will meet you at the old oak tree, she said, at the altar, at the pulpit, in the cavern. A tunnel will wind down, and there we shall be together again. Many a night I stood before the altar, and I saw her face in the twilight. I had been in uniform, and some time before, the dreaded thunder of the guns had brought me to my knees. The black ravens had flown overhead. A slab, a dead body. Mine! I saw myself, but I had escaped. I had escaped, but still I heard their calls. Each corpse. And theirs, anonymously, had taken on false names. But it was not to do with my Louise. Louise was nothing to do with them. I knew that. I had worked that out. I had figured that as the detective. As Detective Edmonston. I had seen that the corpses were of the cadets, of mine. I'm sorry, my lord, I know it is difficult for you to understand. It has taken me all my life. But do you see? Each corpse, each cadet was a reflection of me. And Louise came back to me to enable me to see. At the old oak tree, me. She wore a necklace of the Celtic goddess. The quest to her had enormous consequences. I hesitate to call her the sorceress, but Louise, I knew her so well. I am rather amused when I reflect and remember how impish she was But the sirens, they broke the circle. Each point of the circumference of the solar plexus of the zodiac, the inner wheel, the inner circle, was split into splinters. I used to hear a chorus of angels from this DNA, I call it, this necklace that she used to wear, and reflected back to me when I made love to her, and she to me. It was the essence of the union of all masculinity and femininity. I tell you, my lord, I don't expect you to believe me. You, the master of logic, the conventional man inside me. When I look into the mirror, I hear a shriek! This conditioning that smashes music. Many a night I stood before the altar. And I tell you, I saw my twin sister. But they said, victims of insanity. In the trenches, the war, the madness, the shell shock. But I tell you, I saw her there. She came to save me. And through all this hubbub, this nightmare, this hell, this sound, this noise, these sirens, this beep, beep, beeping of SOS madness that has been ingrained in my brain and set me insane, yes! My lord, I tell you, find me not guilty on the grounds of insanity, because that's what life, death in life has done to me, and her in this cell, this asylum. Convict me of blasphemy, if you will.
That may be to you how it seems, but you give them the wrong lead.